Here's a Yorkshire Childhood, Chapter 38, entitled The City of Lights. It makes such a change from dreary England, Tom said, and winked at Josh as he tucked into his healthy breakfast. What shall we do today? Said Josh, swirling his spoon around his bowl of muesli. I think we'll walk around the banks of the Seine and just take in the sights, he said. They didn't want to go too far, as Paris was like a maze to them, and Tom didn't want Josh to know how little he trusted his map reading skills. It was wonderful sitting on the banks of the Seine with an ice cream and watching the world go by. Every building was picturesque and beautiful. It was no surprise that Paris inspired poets and artists. It was like a living poem. That night they dined in a lovely restaurant. Tom was grateful they had an English translation on the menu, as French was gobbledygook to him. Tom glanced at the couples and he half wished he was married again. He'd almost forgotten what romance was. He loved Josh and he didn't want him to know how lonely he felt. Working long hours in the garage was his refuge and a way to forget about the real world. It was lovely to be waited on, and they both enjoyed a lait chocolat. It was so different from home. Everything about it was exciting and interesting, even the most mundane things. They walked back through the beautiful romantic streets, all lit delightfully. This is why it's called the City of Lights, said Tom, as Josh took it all in. That night Josh bounced on his bed and lay back and pondered on the marvellous day they had enjoyed. He looked out at the magnificent city as it winked back at him like a jewel, and he wished he could stay forever. He slept soundly on the clean, crisp linen, and he joined Tom for breakfast. It was intriguing listening to all the people chat as they were eating and not being able to understand a word. I should have brushed up on my French, Tom said, feeling embarrassed. This is not bad for rabbit food, Tom whispered, and Josh laughed. Time had flown so fast, and it was amazing that it was their last day. What shall we do today? Said Tom. I'd like to just potter about, said Josh, as they were both too tired for a big adventure. The queues to the museums were so long that they didn't have the time or the patience to wait. Next year we'll go to the top of the tower, said Tom. That's cool, Josh replied, and they wandered the streets of Gare du Nord until they sat at one of the cafes and ordered eau de chocolat. It was thick and delicious. The smell of warm bread and coffee was in the air, and a beautiful student cycled by with her hair flowing behind her. Among all of the elegantly dressed people were a few dishevelled-looking characters. It took Tom a while to realize they were tramps or vagrants. It had never crossed his mind that they'd be in Paris.